I'll be honest with you, I am usually a Christmas hater. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the bright colors or the fact that I worked in retail and had to listen to Michael Bublé and Mariah Carey on repeat for 15,000 hours. And I say usually because this year is like the first year that I think about Christmas and I'm like, you're all right, kid. Having said that though, I do have a very specific aesthetic when it comes to Christmas. Snowy, historic streets, woodland animals in human clothing, Michael Caine in a nightgown. But another part of my very specific holiday aesthetic is desserts and candy and cookies. For whatever reason, I've always been drawn to things that look like they're made of food or look like they're made out of candy and delectable or nutritious, scrumptious things. I think it's just about 2 years ago now that I did my gingerbread dress, which yes, does make me want to throw up. It was a little bit impractical. I kind of just wore it once for the video and then never again. Trying to think of something that I could do that would be along those lines, but something that I could actually bring out every holiday season, get some use out of it. That's kind of the direction I'm trying to go with my crafts. You know, actually use them more than once. Can you believe it? Never been done before. And so this week, I am going to try to remake a thrifted purse into a little gingerbread bag. While my dear friend Allie was visiting from Florida this weekend, we went to the thrift store and I did hunt down the perfect purse.
This one is more like a good size. Okay.
In between the adrenaline rushes of finding the perfect wooden shields in the toy section.
Wooden shields. Oh, we can larp, we can fight. This is a lot.
The bag in question. Here it is. It's pretty boring. Ow. Morona, which I think is like a Target brand. Come on. So smooth and graceful. Please focus. $5. I think it'll be really cute, a cool crossbody. So essentially, I want to make this look like it is made out of entirely cookie, candy, deliciousness. My general thinking is...
Yeah, right. So if we take the design of this purse already, I want to just add on top of it, put fabric on top to make it look like gingerbread, and then add icing with spackling, maybe like a little peppermint button, as well as candies that will hang off the side. And then because we're already whimsical as hell, for the strap, I think I want to do something that looks like licorice.
First things first though, I do need to center this so it's symmetrical. Second things second, I'm just gonna check my stash. To see if I have any brown gingerbread-esque fabric that I can just sew on top. Knowing my luck, I have every shade of brown you could ever possibly imagine, but not the one that I'm looking for. Any more of you? Since I never scroll, I was gonna throw away my scraps, but naturally, my brain being the viscosity of Jell-O, was about to say, scroll away my thraps. I have this in my stash. Remember what this was from? I think a jacket that I destroyed. I really like the color of this, and it's kind of like I think it's like a faux suede. I don't know if there's enough bib. This, which I think I kept because of the zipper. One singular sleeve. It's a little bit tricky. If I'm very smart about it, I think we could possibly make this work. Yeah. So that's gonna be my first step. Time to get festive. But before we do that, this video is sponsored. So to talk a little bit about that, and of course, one of my favorite sponsors, here's sponsor Rachel. Got any games on your phone? No. Well, you should. And specifically, the sponsor of today's video, June's Journey. I've been playing June's Journey for 5 years now on my phone. It is a free-to-play mystery hidden picture puzzle game. The overall story is that you're playing as June Parker, whose sister was murdered, and you set off across the world, across so many different characters and storylines to figure out what happened to her. Along the way, there are stunningly illustrated hidden picture levels, and it gets harder and harder, more maximalist as you go along. I don't even know what level I am, but it's high because I've been playing for so long and I genuinely love this game and recommend it. Also, in addition to the puzzle levels, you have a home base, your own little island that you can decorate
decorate with seasonal items right now and until December 31st. You can get wintry and Christmas decorations for your islands. So stinking adorable. If you are looking for some stress relief, fun downtime while you're having a cup of coffee, if you would like to download June's Journey for free, you can head to the link in my description and get to sleuthin'. Without further ado, let's get back to it. Me? I'll see you later. And see. Once I actually got the purse and the fabric in front of me, it really wasn't as intimidating as I thought it was going to be. Once you break down the entire purse in terms of planes and shapes, it's a piece of crumb cake. After all, that's all sewing really is. Them's is just shapes. Once I had everything cut out, it was time to assume the position of any winter craft. I decided to hand sew all of the fabric on top just because it gave me a little bit more control than I usually have. I just realized there's something in the pocket. Shall we see? Treasure. They're tickets to see An Afternoon with Darcy Lynn and Friends live from June 17th, 2018. So, little history. It's fascinating. All right, back to work. This actually came out super cute. As far as all the ugly edges, those will all be covered with frosting, so I was not worried about it. As far as all the little candy accessories, I decided to make those out of epoxy sculpt. Super important that you take equal parts A and B and then complete their enemies to lovers arc and make them Keith. So for this, I decided to make 2 little peppermints, one for the button and one for the keychain, and then 2 gumdrops and a little chocolate bar that looks like a chunk has been taken out. If you sought to do this for yourself, there are kits online that sell a bunch of fake candies made of resin already, but because I didn't want 5,000 of them and I just wanted a couple, I just decided to make them myself because I like to make my life difficult, lemon difficult. And because those needed to set overnight, let's move on. It's been a while since I've had a sassy ponytail opening. Today, I need to go to both the hardware store and the craft store. All right then. The hardware store because I need to get the spackling that I'm going to use for the icing, and then the craft store just to see if they have anything that I could use for candy or the licorice strap. Maybe they'll have some sort of like gummy type thing that you use for like friendship bracelets. Friendship bracelets? No, I'm just going to have a little peruse. And thankfully, because it's winter, 'tis the season. No one needs to know. How would they know? Let's go. All right, hardware store time. And because I think you truly underestimate how much I don't wish to be perceived by old men. Didn't work. I had my hood down for a second, and this older couple, the old man said, "Where'd you get that red hair?" So I said, "From a box, believe it or not." They got a kick out of that.
should have known. Old people love redheads. I don't know. Goods acquired. Let's get a little treat because otherwise what's the point of running errands and head home? We have a lot to do and not a ton of time to do it, which is kind of my base mode of operation. As you saw, this is the base purse. I'm very, very happy with how this came out so far. I think it's very cute. And once we hide all these ugly seams with the frosting, I think it's gonna look cute as hell. Lightweight spackling, also Alex Fast Dry Acrylic Latex CAULK plus silicone. I'm not getting demonetized, y'all. I'm probably gonna use this, but I grabbed this just in case. I think this is a little heavier. I grabbed this off of the internet. I feel like somehow, wow, that's quite large. Holy hell. I was not expecting this much girth. Put the spackle in here, change the nib. Oh, that's fun. It's also giving a little bit of Austin Powers, and I won't refer to what scene exactly. Hopefully this works. The idea being I could put the spackle in here and just kind of ice it like a treat. And then goodies are all set, so I can paint those while we wait. Licorice looking straps, so I'm gonna work on that. We got stuff to do. I'm very excited at the potential of this working. I have to be very careful and not my usual self. To be honest, it already looks so freaking delicious. I'm just kidding. I want to eat this so bad. It looks like, very specifically, the frosting that's inside oatmeal cream pies. Mind your business. If we just take a dollop, somehow, very gracefully. And I'm gonna use this. If this works, this is a game changer, and I'm gonna put frosting on everything I own. Yeah, I'm gonna start on the back, so in case it turns out rubbish, no one will see. I'm scared.
Womp.
Well, that's sort of a problem.
12 seconds later.
So I made the switch, and I wish I could say this was a very satisfying process, but as you can see, I don't know if it's just because the consistency of this is not frosting, or if it's because baking and icing has never been in my wheelhouse. In fact, it's not even in an Uber ride vicinity of my wheelhouse. But I did my best, and as usual, if anyone asks, it's rustic. For the front, I did switch to a piping bag and a smaller tip, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not crazy about this design. I was going for like roof shingles on a gingerbread house, but it is what it is. And then it was time to paint all my little doodads. What's a little crafting without an ectoplasm spill?
Ew.
That was about the moment I realized I really don't like painting teeny weeny things.
I don't like painting teeny weeny things. Something I think about a lot, just the idea of personalization and how humans are kind of funny in that way. Wild to me that is not a thing that everyone's interested in. Growing up, I had to personalize everything I put my fingers on. My sticky little fingers. My binders, my book covers, my agendas. If any of you also had agendas. The covers all had to be outrageous and reflecting who I am as a person, or whoever I decided to cut out of 17 magazine at the time. Not everyone is like that, but here I am to this day. I don't know. because that was not something that was ever really taught to me. It's not like my parents really personalized anything they owned. It's just kind of something that I've always wanted to do for no discernible reason whatsoever. I'm curious if any of you are also like that. If I don't express myself, I will implode and it will not be pretty. On that note, I'm gonna keep painting my teeny tiny little candy made of clay. Let's move on to the licorice straps. So I grabbed this, as you saw. I'm not in love with the color of this. It looks a little bit more orange. So I got this. Hello. Ta-da! So I think what I'm gonna try to do, actually I take it back. The urge to put this in my mouth is quite palpable, so maybe it is the right color. Then I have the old strap here to kind of give me like a length idea. I'm just gonna play around with a few different things. I think I'm gonna try to double it up and then braid it. Wish me luck then.
I ended up just kind of taking 2 strands and 2 strands and then twisting them. Ideally, I would like this to be about 3 times thicker than this, but it is what it is. And even Nick said he wants to eat it, so job well done. Then it was time to return to do the other side of the purse. Again, very unsatisfying. It just has a hard time adhering to the fabric, and so therefore you can't really make like grand designs with it. So enjoy me just literally slapping it on there. And because gingerbread often has a lot of these flower marks, I decided to add that in with just some white paint. And then it was time to assemble the keychain, so I drilled some holes in all the little candies. Filled it with a dollop of E6000 and put in some silver chains that I don't use. And there you go. Finally, it was time to put the little button on and then the straps. And I think, my friends, we are ready for the reveal.
Did I just film the entire reveal? Decided that I hated that honeycomb pattern with the burning passion of 7,000 suns. Proceed to spend way too long ripping it all off and refilming everything? Who can say? Oh, I'm not wearing sweatpants underneath my dress. Here it is. I have thoughts. For the most part, I really do enjoy this. I think the concept worked really well. Sewing the fabric on top of an existing purse worked way better than I thought it would. The icing, theoretically, I think worked really well, but I just could not get the hang of piping it. It just was not very pretty, but I love my little doodads. The licorice strap, I absolutely am in love with. I do wish that I had gotten more so that I could make it thicker. Does the job just fine. It looks like licorice. I think it's probably gonna throw a couple people off. It's always fun. Give them the old razzle dazzle. The old Twizzler Dizzler. Works really well. I cannot wait to actually use this as a real purse. Obviously the front is now kind of rough looking because I did peel off all of that icing. Feel like in person, I don't hate it. It kind of works with it. I think in video and in photo, it doesn't look quite as nice. It looks like a lot messier. It was either this, which I will wear, or that honeycomb pattern, which I hated so much and it would have bugged me every single time I wore it. I had to do what I had to do. You may have liked the other version. That's totally fine. You know, at the end of the day, I'm making stuff for myself to wear. And in order for me to get the most use out of this as possible, it needs to be something that I actually like. Such a fun project. Things that look like food bewitch me, body and soul, every single time. And so therefore, making something of that variety makes me so giddy. And this makes a really fun noise. Just a fun 2-day project. I just needed kind of a smaller scale project because next video is a much larger scale. I'm really excited and looking forward to doing that. Keep an eye out for that. Until then, I hope you have some cookies and treats. Huge thank you to June's Journey. Huge thank you to June's Journey for sponsoring this video. If you want to check it out and download it for free, the link is in my description and should also be in a pinned comment. I love you whether you're new or old to this channel. If you're new here and you feel like sticking around, feel free to subscribe. I upload every other Friday and we have fun here. And I will see you in my next video. Bye! Oh, there's so many birds at our bird feeder right now. Whimsical.
Can I pet that dog?
I was not even recording. That's so great. Woo! Why did I think this was a good idea? Here I go. Merry Christmas. Let me be, child. I feel like the Grinch.